There's been a lot of changes in the fitness industry over the years. It's changed a lot since, I first started following it. And, where the modern fitness industry really grew was after, in the 1970s, after the release of the film Pumping Iron. That's where Arnold Schwarzenegger became famous. At that time, bodybuilding and bodybuilders were more of a underground thing. They were not something in the mainstream. Again, Arnold was unknown at that time. But the film brought that lifestyle and those sorts of physiques to the fore. It brought it to the public arena. And so then, it launched this fitness industry, which throughout the 80s and 90s and even until today, you still see people do a lot of this. The idea of fitness was someone who was very much like a bodybuilder, someone who had muscularity. Well, as we know, someone can have muscularity but be completely unhealthy within. So muscularity is not necessarily a sign of one being physically fit. Well, let's expand it now. It's not just an issue of being healthy or fit, it's an issue of being strong. Just because someone has muscles doesn't mean that they're strong either, and doesn't mean they wouldn't be subject to injury. Why? Because bodybuilders were never training necessarily to be strong. They weren't training to be physically fit. They were training to compete on muscle size. So the objective of the bodybuilder was completely foreign to the person who goes to the gym every day. If the person who's going to the gym every day is trying to be fit, well, yeah, sure. I mean, a lot of those weightlifting things will help, but you're using maybe a methodology that was designed for something else. So, a bodybuilder will use isolation sort of exercises. So they have like 3 or 4 different bicep curls that they use. Well, why are they doing that? To be physically fit? No. To build up their biceps so that they can compete against somebody else who's building up their biceps. So there's isolated exercises, right? So, you'll hear them say it's leg day, it's arm day, it's chest day, it's back day, okay? So they're training by body parts. Again, that's fine. It's just that you have to keep in mind how things have changed in the fitness industry. So in contemporary times, you have things like CrossFit, you have strength training, which are much, much different. They are a diversity in CrossFit, a diversity of exercises. It's metabolic. It's designed to get the heart rate up. You are doing some of the weightlifting type movements, but it's done very, very differently, and it's combined with a whole other host of exercises. So it's CrossFit, right? It's crossing over various disciplines. Then there's strength training, which is really taken from Olympic strength weightlifters who do those crazy lifts. Well, their training is much different. They don't train like bodybuilders either, and they don't train CrossFit, and they don't do aerobics or anything like that. They lift heavy-ass weight, but a specific way. So what these new forms of exercise have done is change the way people look at fitness. They're interested in strength. They're interested in mobility. They're interested in injury. Now, something like that I can better understand the older I get. You're a young guy, maybe? Well, yeah, you're going to think about big muscles and being at the beach or something like that. You reach my age and you start to think about, okay, what do I want my quality of life to be? And so that begins to change. So the focus of the 1970s bodybuilders was not so much on the strengthening of the core, but in today's fitness, this focus is on the core, right? Core, spine, things like that, where everything comes from, where all energy and movement and strength comes from. It comes from that core. So to do that requires a different type of training than isolated body parts. So the focus is on building one's core. And you can do that by utilizing compound movements. Now, we've talked about some of this in the group before. So compound movements means you're using exercises that combine multiple body parts in a single exercise. Take, for example, deadlifts, squats. They involve several body parts, and the more weight you put on there, the more strength you are building. So, again, so much of our basic fitness now stems from how strong our core is and the condition of things like our spine. And since bodybuilding doesn't focus on this, a lot of people that are utilizing the bodybuilding approach are not necessarily building up strength. Okay? So the more you move your complete body with heavier weight, the easier everything else becomes in your life. Now, I didn't forget that we're talking about conquering the giants of fear. Okay? This has something to do with it. But I want you to listen to this again. The more you move your complete body with heavier weight, the easier everything else becomes in your life. In fact, you'll be more enthusiastic about things like household work because you just feel stronger. So imagine that. The more you are doing heavier lifting in these compound movements, then the more enthusiastic you're going to be about doing any kind of physical work, because you've been lifting heavy deadlifts. You're lifting heavy deadlifts and somebody says, hey, man, you want to help me move this washing machine? You're like, yeah, I'll do it. You're just more enthusiastic about it because you built your strength up to it and you're ready to put it to the test. So now apply this to facing the giants of fear. The stronger you are, the more enthusiastic you'll be about facing what's intimidating you. That's the point. The stronger you are as a person, the more enthusiastic you're going to be about facing what's intimidating you. So again, like I said, you don't need to focus on your fears. You need to just build up your strength. Can you dig it? Hope you can.